Chapter 19. Blaine. Blaine opened the door to the cabin and smiled at the woman on the other side. "Diane, thanks for coming." Diane was a photographer for Novel Home magazine. She'd done a spread on their owner's house when he'd bought it, and after Blaine explained his situation, Ron had called in a favor. Blaine just hoped this cabin would be enough. "Thanks for inviting me. You said you'd make it worth my while." Diane's no-nonsense attitude oozed with every fiber of her being. From her pulled-back hair to the pressed suit she wore to the 3-inch heels gracing her feet that looked like they could double as a weapon in a pinch. Suddenly, he wasn't sure she would find this so impressive. "I hope you'll find this worth a spread in your magazine." He stepped back and allowed her entrance to the cabin. "This cabin has been in my family for years. I inherited it this summer, but had no idea what to do with it. I have some before pictures I can show you." "I've seen them," she said with a wave of her hand as she stepped in, her eyes combing over the living room. She nodded as she walked the floor. "It's definitely nice. Who's the designer?" Blaine felt his lips twitching. He'd known Kinsey was talented. "A new designer, and one who could really use the exposure. Is it good enough?" Diane pinched her tight lips together and paused in front of the fireplace. "What's this?" She pointed at the picture of him and Kevin. Blaine paused, but he didn't feel the suffocating pressure he usually felt. "That's a picture of my brother and me. We used to come here every summer as a family. I hired Kinsey to redo the cabin because I was planning to sell it." "Why?" Diane turned to him with a quizzical expression. "It's such a beautiful space and location." "Because Kevin died here, in the lake out back." Her eyes widened and her mouth fell open in shock. "But Kinsey showed me there was still life here. She added that picture to remind me of the good times we had, to help me forget about the bad. She's not just a designer, she's a healer as well." He hadn't meant to tell the story of his brother, and he hadn't planned to talk about Kinsey. But even as the words spilled out, he knew they were the truth. Kinsey had healed him in more ways than one. Diane turned back to the picture and stared at it again. "I think this is a piece our readers will love." When she faced him again, her stern features were gone, replaced by a sincere smile. "And whoever this Kinsey is, I hope you've scooped her up before some other man does." Blaine returned the grin. "I'm working on it, and this will definitely help." "Good. I'll be back with my camera." Kinsey. Kinsey stared at the woman's name on the slip of paper and bit her nail. She wanted to reach out, to do something for Blaine. But what if this was overstepping? He'd made such strides since the first outing with Darby. She could see his heart opening up every time she was around him. But now Christmas was quickly approaching, and she had yet to hear him discuss plans of seeing his family. She knew he was slowly healing the part of his heart that had died with Kevin. But could she help him heal his family as well? Taking a deep breath, she picked up her cell phone and dialed the number. She'd managed to get his mother's name from him during their conversations, and then she'd spent an hour scouring the internet for the woman's number. Lisa Hollis had turned out to be a fairly common name, but after calling the first 9 numbers on the list, she was sure this one would be his mother. "Hello, this is Lisa." The woman's voice was nothing like she had expected. Though she'd never met the woman, she'd created a picture in her head from Blaine's description. Haggard was the best word that came to mind. A woman beaten down from losing her youngest son and her husband in 1 year, then being forced to work 2 jobs to provide for the oldest son she rarely saw. But the voice on the other end of the phone was light, sweet. Hello, my name is Kinsey Lanham. You don't know me, but I was wondering if you are Blaine Hollis's mother." Kinsey bit her lip as she waited for the woman's response. She'd practiced what she was going to say over and over before she'd called, but she still wondered if it was too forceful, too bold. The silence stretched so long that Kinsey feared the woman had hung up, but finally she spoke. "Yes, my son's name is Blaine. What is this about?" Kinsey sighed with relief and sent a prayer up, both thanking God and asking for the right words. "I'm his girlfriend, and I was hoping that maybe you could help me bring a little Christmas magic to him this year." "What did you have in mind?" the woman asked. There was still a hint of hesitation in her voice, but Kinsey could make out the curiosity as well. "Well, I'm not sure if you know, but Blaine volunteers occasionally at a local center here in Southlake. Every year we have a Christmas party for the children. This year we're hosting it a little before Christmas, since the tornadoes play on Christmas Eve. Blaine will be there reading to the children, and I was hoping you could come by." Another long bout of silence followed before the woman spoke. "Blaine is working with kids?" Kinsey couldn't help but smile on the other end. It had obviously been a while since Blaine and his mother had connected. "He is. In fact, he even took on a little sister with the program and plans to take her fishing next summer. I think you'll find Blaine a slightly different person from the last time you saw him. So will you come?" "I wouldn't miss it for the world," the woman said. "Great." Kinsey rattled off the details and ended the call. One down and one to go.